You know, the first day of March Madness proves to me why it's so popular. You know, we football is king in football is king in the United States. Of course, we know how big the Super Bowl is. We know how big NFL games on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays now. We know how big they are. But year after year after year, March Madness is pretty much the crescendo, or pretty much gets the most views. Now, yes, of course, I know the Super Bowl still is the Super Bowl, but day one of March Madness really showed itself as to why it's so popular. You see, you don't go. Nobody wants to see. How do I say this in the best way? People love upsets. People love Cinderella stories. People love the underdog. You can say you don't, but they do. People think about it like this. One of the least viewed March Madnesses in recent memory was when Villanova, that was I think the number one overall seed, they just blew through the playoff. They just blew through the tournament, like dogging people. That's when they had Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, they had Mikal Bridges. They just started blowing through people. Another one of the lesser March Madnesses that I remember as far as viewing wise was when Virginia won. They had Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter. They were just destroying people. I think they played Texas Tech in the national championship, and Jarrett Culliver or whatever, and just destroyed them. People come to see underdogs. People want people want to see upsets, even though nobody is confident enough in picking an upset, especially if you're like myself that has one bracket that does one bracket a year. You want to see an upset. You want to see a 15 beat a 10 or 2. You want to see a 16 beat a 1. Shouts out to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. You want to see that. I went into March Madness, and I said this last episode, so if you don't believe me, go watch the last episode. I said that there is parity. There's more parity in college basketball now than there's been since I can remember. I'm not going to say everyone's on an equal playing field, but a 1 isn't that much. Like a Kansas, even though Kansas did destroy Howard, Kansas isn't that far away from Howard as you think. Just because one is a 1 and one is a 16, they're not that much further. Just because, Alabama, who's number 1, and Maryland, who's number 8, they're not that much far. Now, yes, Alabama probably will beat Maryland, but they're not. The talent gap isn't that far. Day one of March Madness again showed you why we love March Madness so much. If you would have told me first, let me first. I understand. I know. I picked Arizona to make it to the national championship. I didn't pick them to win, but I picked them to make it to the national championship. So if you would have told me that Princeton would be held to 59 points, if you would have told me that Azala's to Bella, you know what? Side note. I see a lot of people killing me under the comments, especially about my hockey when I was talking about the Bruins. I know I am not good at pronouncing names. I know that. I am fully aware that I have problems pronouncing people's names. I get that. That doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. It just means I may not be able to really pronounce your name. that which is why I usually preface it by saying, I know I messed your name up. I apologize. So get off my back. Get off my back about the names. I know I mispronounced the name. I know it. Okay. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. But if you would have told me that Arizona held Princeton to 59 points, if you would have told me that Azuolas Tubelis, who is Arizona's probably best player, had 22 points, if you would have told me that Arizona had a 10-point lead at one point in this game, you would have said, oh, Princeton probably got destroyed. The problem is Arizona only scores 55 points. Princeton became the third straight. This is the third straight year that a 15 has beat a 2 seed. I think last year was Oral Roberts. They beat Kentucky, and I don't remember. And Oral Roberts made it all the way to the Elite Eight, I believe. And I don't remember who the number 15 seed was, but I know the year before it was Virginia. That was the number 2 seed that got bounced out of here. Going into the tournament, Arizona, one of the biggest question marks was Arizona's guards. And one thing that I didn't take into consideration, I try to look at people at their best. I know my ex-girlfriends might not agree with me, but I try to look at people at their best. And I thought to myself, if Arizona's best players play to their ability, or Arizona's players play to the best of their ability, it will be hard to beat them. Well, Arizona's guards, like all of their guards were terrible. God awful. Like, Princeton did everything they were supposed to do, man. Shouts out to Princeton. They earned that win. They were down double digits and they came back and won. Shouts out to them. Deserved it. Shouts out to Princeton. Again, day one of March Madness really shows you why we love college basketball, why we love March Madness. While yes, football is king and everyone loves the college football playoffs, while March Madness still gets better ratings because you want to see upsets. You don't want to see, in college football playoffs, you don't want to see, it's going to be maybe an SEC team, maybe Clemson, maybe a dark horse team or something like TCU. But, at the end of the day, we know it's going to be either Alabama, we know it's going to be Georgia, we know it's going to be Clemson. You know what I'm saying? College basketball, well, unless you go to like Arizona, unless like I know a couple people that went to Auburn, they're riding pretty hard for Auburn right now. Obviously, you know how I feel about North Carolina. Shouts out to the women North Carolina team. I'm hoping that you make it all the way, even though I have South Carolina winning it all. You just want to see an upset. We want to see an upset. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.